Tonight on Joynews Prime, Supreme Court adjourns hearing of petition by former President Mahama challenging the election of President Akufo-Addo.
The petition is thus adjourned to Tuesday, the 19th of January 2021.
We'll bring you a profile of judges and panel to hear the petition as well as highlights of the 2012 election petition, which introduced some interesting phrases into the country's lexicon.
Giving you full opportunity to demonstrate how mighty you are, and we hope you've done so.
My lords,
Do you now realize your real size in this country?
Yes, my lords.
Good.
And in the ongoing struggle for control of the 8th Parliament, the NPP says that decision of the independent candidates to do business with their side makes them the majority.
The group that occupies the majority seats would be the majority leader. Where do they sit? By practice and convention. That group will sit on the right of the speaker. I believe I'm going to be
The NDC caucus, however, disagrees and wants control of the House to be split equally.
Neither the NDC nor the MPP has majority in Parliament. Nobody should be engaged in any fruitless effort to add on what he or she does not possess or have.
Also in this bulletin, the impact of strike by teachers and education workers union begins to impact as students take over some duties of the hall. We'll bring you an update of the strike in other tertiary institutions. In business, Moody's forecast 4.0% growth rate for Ghana this year, far higher than the World Bank's revised projection of 1.4%. We have the details in business. And some youth of La march onto a parcel of land at Airport Hills near Burma Camp here in Accra. They say it's being illegally taken over by the military.
They had come onto the land with bulldozers and then they were working. So we wrote to the minister and said that, look, if that is what the military wants to do, we want to take possession of the land pending the signing of the document.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Joynews Prime comes to you live from our studios in Kokomlimle on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is the home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. Do stay tuned in. We begin with day one of former President John Mahama's election petition, which took off at the Supreme Court Thursday. This was, however, not without some controversy, as lawyers for the Electoral Commission and President Akufo-Addo opposed a request by Mr. Mahama to be allowed to correct mistakes in the petition. The 2020 NDC presidential candidate erroneously requested in his petition that the court allows a runoff between himself and the EC. The request to correct that mistake was granted despite opposition from the EC and Mr. Akufo-Addo's lawyers. Court correspondent Joseph Akable was there for Joynews.
So the case is being heard by Chief Justice Kwesi Eninyeboa and Justices Yawapeu, Mafusau, Nena Megacha, Professor Kote, Mariama Owusu and Gertrude Tokonu. Mr. Mahama's legal team first asked that the court allows them make corrections to the petition that has been filed. Mr. Chachutikata informed the court that it was an inadvertent error that had led to the team asking for a runoff to be organized between Mr. Mahama and the Electoral Commission instead of Mr. Akufo-Addo. Lawyers for the Electoral Commission, led by Justin Amenuvo, and the President's legal team, led by Akoto Ampao, opposed the request. Their explanation was that there was a mistake in the request that is seeking to correct a mistake, in that instead of asking to amend the petition, it rather is asking to amend a writ, and so they had pointed out that the court does not allow it. But the court went on recess and returned, and the Chief Justice Kwesi Eninyeboa indicated that the request does not go to the substance of the petition, so it has granted a request for the changes to be made.
We grant the amendment in the 10th page. Let the amended pieces be found by the close of the day before 4 p.m. today. Yes, the respondents are at liberty to amend their respective answers to the petition on or before 4 p.m. tomorrow, Friday, the 15th of January 2021. The petition is thus adjourned to Tuesday, the 19th of January 2021.
We caught up with Mr. Abraham Amaliba, a member of the NDC's legal team, who has been explaining why they made that particular request.
So all we need to do is to go out there and file it with the Supreme Court, the registry, and that is what is to be done. So this is something we have already done, and what is left is for us to file.
The point your colleagues on the other side made was that you made a mistake by referring to it as a writ instead of a petition.
It has been but that is what I indicated to you, that this is an exhibition. No. This is an exhibition of the trademark incompetence of the EC, because what we filed was a petition and not a writ. And so for them to come up and say that we're making reference to a writ, when indeed on the face of the document was a petition, it's a clear indication of their incompetence.
A member of the president's legal team, Frank Davis, however, disagrees, and he says that it shows that humans make mistakes, and that is the essence of the case that will be arguing this particular matter.
It was obvious from the outset that they had committed errors and mistakes in the petition they filed. This was said by the lead counsel himself, Chachichi Kata, that they were going to correct the mistakes. We were opposed to the application in form and substance, but as you heard the court say, we are all human beings and we make mistakes. So the court ruled that even though they had made mistakes, it will permit them to amend so that the first respondent they intended to contest with in their petition is reverted to second respondent, His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic. So that was what happened. In essence, the court is telling all of us that we make mistakes, so we should be kind to the errors committed by others.
On 19th January, the court will be sitting yet again, but there are some outstanding issues that it has to deal with. Key amongst them is the matter relating to the initial objection that lawyers for the Electoral Commission and Mr. Akufo-Addo's legal team have already raised. There is also the issues about the pre-trial matters, how the case itself should proceed, how many witnesses to be called to testify orally, which evidence should be made available, at what extent should those evidences to be presented to the court, and what presentation should take place. All those are outstanding issues that the court will address on January 19th. Reporting for Joynews from the Supreme Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
The 2020 election petition will be heard by 7 justices of the Supreme Court, with Chief Justice Enini Yeboah presiding. Joseph Akable joins us via Zoom with some analysis on the justices and panel. Joseph, you have been looking at when they were appointed and key cases of public interest they have participated in and how they voted. First, let's start with the Chief Justice.
So Chief Justice Kwesi Enini Yeboah, who is the presiding judge in this particular matter, was part of the 2012-2013 election petition. And in that particular petition, it's worth noting that he concluded by saying that as a consequential order, he was ordering the Electoral Commission to organize an election to elect a president, as he cannot rely on an election which was seriously fraught with malpractices, irregularities, and statutory violations proved in the petition. And so he granted a request by the petitioners, which was Nana Akufo-Addo then, requesting for a rerun of the polls, but that was the minority opinion, so that did not form the decision of the apex court. He was appointed as a Supreme Court judge in June 2008, elevated to Chief Justice in January 2020. So that is it for the Chief Justice Kwesi Enini Yeboah. For Justice Yaw Apew, who is the next senior most judge on this particular panel, he was appointed to the Supreme Court in June 2015. One of the most recent public interest cases he participated in is the case that was filed by the Attorney General, asking that the court sets aside an injunction granted against the gazetting of John Peter Mewu Asoho MP. Justice Apew actually presided over by that particular panel, and you recall by 5-0 the court held that the High Court erred when it granted the injunction against the gazetting of John Peter Mewu. Justice Apew also participated in the panel that heard the case that was filed by a CDD fellow in public law and justice, Professor Kwesi Asare, challenging the monopoly of the Ghana School of Law. He agreed with his colleagues in dismissing that particular case. There is also Justice Mafusau. He was appointed to the Supreme Court in July 2018. He was previously a Court of Appeal judge. He was also part of the panel that heard the recent Sao case relating to the injunction the High Court granted against John Peter Amewu. So Justice Mafusau was part of that case. He also participated in the voters register case. You recall that matter that the Supreme Court was asked to decide whether or not to allow the EC to compile a new register and which documents to use as source documents. So Justice Mafusau was part of that particular case. He agreed with his colleagues in holding that the Electoral Commission had the power to compile a new register and was right in excluding the existing voters ID card as part of the source documents to register. He also participated in the case that challenged the eligibility of Martin Amidu as a special prosecutor. He was equally part of the National Cathedral case, and in both cases, he ruled agreeing with the position of the Attorney General in those two cases that one gave the green light to the Martin Amidu to continue to hold office as special prosecutor, and also for the state to continue with the construction of the National Cathedral. There is also Justice Nene Amegacha, who was appointed as a Supreme Court Justice in July 2018. Prior to that, he was a private legal practitioner. He participated in the following cases that I've already talked about: the Amidu eligibility case, the Ghana School of Law monopoly case, the EC register compilation case. And in all those cases, he either agreed with the majority opinion or agreed with the position that had been taken by the Attorney General's Department in granting the view that Amidu was eligible, or Ghana School of Law, there was no monopoly, and dismissed the case, or that the EC could compile a new register. Then there is Professor Ashi Kotei. He joined the Supreme Court in July 2018. Prior to that, he was a professor of law at the University of Ghana School of Law. He participated in the voters register case as well, and the Amidu eligibility matter, and in both issues, he took the side of the majority or the unanimous decision of the courts in those matters. The remaining two justices are the females on the panel. There is Justice Mariama Owusu, who joined the Supreme Court in December 2019 and was part of the voters register case as well. She agreed with her colleagues in that particular matter too. And the final one will be Justice Gertrude Tokonu. She joined the Supreme Court in December 2019 and was part of the Sao case that unanimously held that the High Court judge erred in granting the injunction against John Peter Amewu. And so what we can see with the panel is that it's quite a young panel, if you can put it that way, because aside from the Chief Justice and Justice Yawape, who were appointed in 2008 and 2015, you have justices that were all appointed post-27, making 5 of the 7-member panel that are here in this particular matter. But we also see that these are judges whom, since they've been appointed in the last 3 to 4 years, have been very active and have participated in a lot of the high-profile cases like the National Cathedral, Amidu eligibility case, compilation of new voters register, which are matters that the public has followed keenly and they've been involved in. And so that is it by way of the 7 judges who are here in this particular matter and what we know about them, Aisha.
Certainly a young but tough team that will be superintending over the 2020 election petition. So the court has adjourned till when? Tuesday, January 19, and it will deal with issues related to the initial objection and the pre-trial matters that is supposed to decide before the case commences officially. Joseph Akablaze, my colleague who reports from the court, will be following this on Tuesday and bring you more on the Joynews channel. But the 2012 election petition that challenged the legitimacy of former President John Mahama lasted 8 months. 8 months of tension and some unforgettable moments broadcast live on TV and radio. But it left many Ghanaians with some unforgettable quotes, including, "You and I were not there. Have you seen your real size?" and more. Max Solagbagba looks back in this report.
Instead of trying to help build your country in a better way, you just put it aside.
I apologize, my lords, and I take full responsibility for my...
One of those moments was when 5 persons were hauled before the Apex Court for contempt after they made some unsavory comments about the judges. NDC member Stephen Atubiga pleaded to be forgiven when he came before the judges. Justice William Atuguba had some questions for him.
I'm just a poor boy from Binduri. I'm not from any fancy family, and I come from a very poor home, Your Honor.
So you learned the slangs from your poor family?
My lords, I've lived in the United States for 14 years, my lords.
This is what I suspect. In the United States, you know the law works irrespective of anybody?
Yes, my lord.
For that, you're very,
We cannot forget former NPP General Secretary Sir John, who was also dragged before the court for contempt.
How do you feel? Yeah, we'll take your temperature level before. Especially, my lord, I'm humbled by this baptism of fire. We find him guilty of intentional criminal contempt of this.
Justice Atuguba also cut to size deputy youth organizer of the NPP, Samia Wuku, for unpleasant comments he made about the judiciary.
We take judicial notice of the fact that Mr. Samia Wuku has been attending the proceedings of this court in this ongoing case. We think that the exclusion of Mr. Samia Wuku from attending the proceedings of this court for the rest of the duration of this case should suffice for a start in this direction. That is our delivery.
Thank you.
Now, we've given you full opportunity to demonstrate how mighty you are, and we hope you've done so.
My lords,
do you now realize your real size in this country?
Yes, my lords.
Good. You are discharged.
Thank you, my lords.
So you're not able to tell us anything.
Lawyers for the two sides, Chachuchi Kata and Philip Addison, often clashed during their arguments. Here is one memorable moment.
Submission legally. I do not need to say more than that at this stage, because these irregularities that we are finding on the face of the exhibits have a lot of significance.
Is counsel addressing the court?
And can you shut up?
I thought you're supposed to be cross-examining the witness.
I can. Yes. Can you let me finish? My lord, it's clear that if there were other people,
my lords, these rude words that counsel has been using, we're capable of replying, and I think that the court should call on him to use more decorous language and withdraw. We're capable of replying it. You should know that.
These interruptions are really unnecessary, and I think they're very trying.
This is how it ended.
The decision we've arrived at. Atuguba Adeyira Bafu Boni Gwedegwe and Akotoba Mfu JJSC dismissed the claim of overvoting. Atuguba Adeyira Bafu Boni Gwedegwe and Akotoba Mfu JJSC dismissed the claim relating to absence of signature of presiding officer.
Perhaps the 2020 election petition will also leave us with many unforgettable moments and quotes.
I'm just a poor boy from Binduri. I'm not from any fancy family, and I come from a very poor home, Your Honor.
So you learned the slangs from your poor family?
My lords, I've lived in the United States for 14 years, my lords.
The fight over control of Ghana's parliament continued Thursday, with both the NPP and NDC unwilling to cede to the other. According to the leader of the NPP caucus, the decision by the Famina MP to do business with their side gives them a majority of MPs. The NDC caucus, however, disagrees, insisting there is no absolute majority in the House. Both sides have been briefing the media after they failed to reach a consensus on the issues following 3 days of deliberations. The NDC also wants to hold on to the chairmanship of at least 8 committees of the House. Leader of the NDC caucus, Haruna Idrisu, has been making a case for control of the House to be split equally.
The official correspondence from the Electoral Commission Clearly, neither the NDC nor the MPP has majority in Parliament. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen of the media, nobody should be engaged in any fruitless effort to add on what he or she does not possess or have. By official record, the Parliament of Ghana is one of equal strength and equal numbers, 137-137. It's never happened under our democratic history, and in particular under the Fourth Republic. It's unique, and it counts in its wake with its own opportunities and challenges that we all must seek to address. Now we have heard that the former independent MP
Chairman Sabonso insists the NPP plus Fomena constitutes majority in Parliament.
Ghana's Parliament is not an even number Parliament. Ours is an odd number Parliament, and the rules of our Parliament.
Mr. Chairman Sabonso also explains why Alban Bagben's role as Speaker was by consensus and not the outcome of an election.
Were to deem Bagben as having been elected and allow for, and I'm quoting myself, allow for cooler heads to prevail. So Bagben was to be in the chair for 2 weeks. We allow for cooler heads to prevail, and thereafter we have a real run for the office of the Speaker. When I put this down, my colleagues then reclined. 138 ballots were outstanding to be counted, and that, to all intents and purposes, all 138 votes were for Bagben. And I said, by what stretch of imagination? Because in counting out this one, 137, we had to pull out one as being a spoiled ballot. So by what stretch of imagination can you conclude that all 138 would be valid votes cast for Bagben? It explains why at the end of the day, when the clerk came to make the announcement, he did not refer to any numbers. That candidate A had these numbers, candidate B had these numbers. On account of the fact that candidate B had much more numbers than candidate A, candidate B is declared the winner. He couldn't have said so because the process was truncated, right? So when he came to us, what's the language? He said, this morning, Parliament met to conduct elections, to elect a speaker. It says, in the processes leading to the declaration of the results, an unfortunate event happened, arising out of which leadership had to engage in consultations. I'm quoting the very language of that communication from the clerk, who then was doubling up as the chairman for the occasion, in the absence of the speaker. So he said, accordingly, that is ensuing from that consultation, I am holding the Honorable Bagben to take the chair as the Speaker of this House. So it was not predicated on any numbers, but that was part of the consensus.
Joining us via Zoom for more is Dr. Rashid Rahman, who is the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Doc, I'm grateful that you joined us. But Doc, both sides of Parliament have still not been able to reach a consensus, refusing to cede to the other. Yet Parliament is scheduled to sit on Friday. What do you see ahead in the first sitting of the first meeting of the 8th Parliament?
Actually, I just plead with them to, we still have, between now and 10 a.m. tomorrow, I think we still have some number of hours. And there is still an opportunity for them to try and find some form of an agreement. Otherwise, I foresee maybe something happening similar to what we saw on January 7th. And this is going to bring, indeed, more embarrassment to us as a country. I'm currently out of the country, and today where I am, I was watching TV, And you know, there was a discussion about, you know, how the challenges the United States is facing and the challenges about setbacks to democracy and so on. And they quickly said, no, just look here around the corner. I mean, our neighbor Ghana, I mean, you know, it's not a good sign for us as a country. And I just hope that some cool heads will prevail. And then I hope that both sides will realize that at this moment, there is no legal document that can resolve this problem. Not the standing orders, not the Constitution. What is going to resolve this is dialogue between the two sides. None of them is going to get what they want, 100% no. And they have to wake up to that reality very, very fast. You know, the MPP might not get 100% of what it wants. The NDC might not get 100% of what it wants. They have to put the cards on the table, and I think by some form of continuous dialogue, agree on who takes what. That's the only way we can get out of this.
Okay, so this is the scenario in Parliament right now. The majority or the NPP claims, with the Formina MP writing to the Speaker to say he wants to sit with the NPP caucus, it makes them the majority in Parliament with 138. The NDC says no. The Formina MP still remains an independent candidate, but can decide to vote for the NPP in matters. In this matter, and with what you know, who should be more considerate here?
Well, I mean, if what we are hearing from the Honorable Chairman Sabonsu, from the clip that you played about how the Right Honorable Speaker was selected, I mean, I think he says that at the end of the day, it wasn't based on any numbers. It was now down to some kind of consensual agreement. If that is the case, the assumption is that there was a lot of giving by the MPP. And perhaps this is the time, if indeed, again, I emphasize, if indeed that is the case, in my personal opinion, perhaps it's the time for NDC to also give in. You know, irrespective of who becomes a majority caucus or minority caucus, I think at the end of the day, you know, they can't run away from the numbers. And I heard the Honorable Haruna speak about 137. I mean, of course, that's what we have officially. And again, the standing orders talk about, you know, the majority caucus or somebody who is majority leader is one who leads party or parties that form the majority. Now, I think they have to agree. Again, this will be through dialogue. I mean, that maybe the honorable independent member, our second deputy speaker, even though independent, could be considered as a party. Otherwise, in the strict sense of the word, you can't define him as a party. I mean, he's an independent member standing, I mean, on an independent foot, and that was what brought him to Parliament, not a political party. So I think all these are matters that require a lot of dialogue. But at the end of the day, I think, Asha, it's all about, you know, making sure that they please don't go to the House tomorrow without clear agreements. Otherwise, you know, on the morning of January 7, we did not foresee what was coming, but now we foresee what could happen. And I think they have a very heavy responsibility to try to save the situation. And, you know, we were discussing with you the other day on your program about these standing orders and so on. Like I said, perhaps this is the time to not only revise our standing orders, but also to think about, as part of that revision, a committee of the future. A committee of the future that can sit down and start imagining scenarios that we never thought about.
Envisaged. I'm grateful that you joined us. Dr. Rashid Rahman is Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. And we're still sticking with Parliament because leader of the NDC caucus in Parliament, Haruna Idrissa, says he will raise the issue of armed police and military invasion of Parliament on the floor when the House resumes sitting Friday.
Tomorrow on the floor of Parliament, a lot will have to happen because we have to do an inner introspection of our own, re-examine and look at our own conduct on events leading to the determination and election of the Speaker. I saw that sacrilege of military in the chamber and on the floor of Parliament. I saw my friend ACP Ofori, who was charging us for.
He says the issue of the alleged attempt by a Supreme Court judge to bribe an NDC MP will also be dealt with on the floor.
There's some allegation that Justice of the Superior Court attempted to bribe a female member of your side to vote in favor of...
We are consulting further on it, and our next course of action will be determined on the floor of Parliament on that subject. So focus on today's matter.
We're still live on Joynews Prime. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more in business when Charles Aite takes over.
Hello there, it's time for business with me, Charles Aite. Ratings agency Moody's is forecasting a growth rate of 4% for Ghana this year. This is a sharp contrast to the 1.4% projection by the World Bank's Global Economic Prospects released last week. My colleague Charles Nexiniabwa looks at the report and has come through this story.
For now, I would say yes, it's quite fair because looking at the happenings on the grounds with COVID and all those, we still have our institutions intact. It's just the, what we call it, the integration to the global market, and then also a bit of distortions when it comes to, free movement of, agents who makes up the economic activities.
According to the report, the gross domestic product growth rate will be lower than the over 5% consistent growth rate recorded by the country over the last decade. Moody's said the shock from COVID-19 pandemic, elevated liquidity threat, as well as weaker institutions and governance are the three key issues to be keenly watched this year. It further said the expected lower growth will lead to depressed revenue from the already low revenue basis, and as such, low domestic revenue mobilization will continue to affect the country and neighboring Nigeria, in particular on the African continent. Ghana has revenue to GDP ratio of below 20%, and therefore lower revenue as a result of the coronavirus shock, coupled with spending pressures, both health-related and government incentives, will lead to recurring deficit and delay the fiscal consolidation. It, however, said favorable gold prices will likely support Ghana's current account balance, boosting foreign inflows and stabilizing the cedi. The country's economy entered into a mild recession in the third quarter of last year. However, the agricultural sector recorded the highest growth of 8.3%.
Meanwhile, financial analyst Dr. Lord Menta has been reacting to this report, saying that he backs this particular projection by Moody's.
Of the country. But then in the end, as things eases up over time, I presume and I believe that things will get better. So for me, it is quite fair.
How do we reconcile Moody's projection of 4% with that of the World Bank, 1.4%? If you are a manager of the economy, what would you be thinking now?
Well, let's look at what we're at a point where, the World Bank was making its projections. You could see clearly that, the COVID and its happenings were not that clear into the future. Now we can boast of vaccines that are coming up. And if we should get some of these vaccines into the environment and get people's movement easily, we should be able to restore the economy as it was. So we have to look at the time, at the point where, World Bank was making its projections and the time that Moody's has made its projections.
A full attendant has won 20,000 cedis from the Star 78 hash lottery, a weekly lottery draw that rewards those who stick with various cash and other attractive prizes. There is more in this report.
Caesar Dokwi, in an interview with Joy Business, says he never believed star 787 hash lottery was real, though he staked 15 cities at a go. He explains that even as the money has been handed to him, he has building projects he wants to continue, hence the money came at the right time.
I dial star 787 hash and I play on my phone and I win 20,000 Ghana cedi.
So how do you feel now?
I feel proud, happy and enjoy myself. I have a small project at my hometown, Jolubogame, at the Volta region. I was started doing something that was 2017. So after that, I got some problem with a little money, so I didn't continue the project. So this time, I can finish my project and be happy. I'm thanking the star 787 hash that I go.
Richard Akotobanfo, the head of customer experience, had this to say about Saturday's jackpot.
Speaking of records of big jackpots, this Saturday we are seeing a value of 1,151,000 Ghana cedis. This could be your moment to become a millionaire with star 787 hash. If you really need to be or make money, then all you have to do is to pick your phone, dial star 787 hash, and win millions of Ghana cedis with only 5 Ghana cedis. If I were to be in your shoes, I would have taken my opportunity today. It is this Saturday, and this is the biggest jackpot ever to hit Ghana. It could be your moment. Just change your life with only 5 Ghana cedis and take home 1,151,000 Ghana cedis.
That's it for business. We're back after 8. I'm Charles Aite.
Thanks for staying with us here on Joynews Prime. It's time for sports. My name is Hans Mensah, and the General Secretary of the Ghana Football Association, Prosper Harrisonado, has revealed plans for the FA to introduce e-ticketing as a measure of reducing the risk of spread of COVID-19. My colleague Mubarak Haruna has the rest of the story.
Of the match day 8 of the Ghana Premier League, the government gave supporters the green light to troop into match venues, but with a maximum of 25% capacity. Fans who went to watch their clubs were made to follow strict COVID-19 protocols, such as washing of hands, wearing masks, and observing social distancing. Also, in the bid to further close all gaps, which could potentially lead to the spread of the deadly virus, the Ghana Football Association have the intention of introducing online ticket sale to help ease congestion at match venues.
All options are available to the FA, and we're considering all options. So it's on the table. It's on the table. Selling advance tickets helps, and it's something that we've even discussed at various levels, including our meetings with the COVID-19 response team. It's one of the key things. You will notice that Kotoko did advance sale of tickets. So it's something that we are for, and we'll look at it more and more going forward. So it is an option.
Prosper also entreated fans to obey the COVID-19 protocols before, during, and after matches.
Our COVID protocols are working, not to the fullest, and so we continue to engage the clubs and the various stakeholders to ensure that it works fully. But it depends on all stakeholders, including the supporters themselves. I've been to the Accra Sports Stadium. You notice at the gates, people going into the stadium are wearing masks. Now they go to their seats, they sit down, and then people take their mask off and put it in their pockets, which should not be encouraged. So we plead, and we urge all fans who go to the various stadiums that the mask, we've called for the mask for a purpose. So it's not only to enter, it's also to be worn during the game. I know sometimes it's discomforting, but you have to compare that with what we are dealing with. we are dealing with a very dangerous disease.
The country's football governing body is hopeful that the government would increase the 25% capacity at match venues in the course of the season.
On to boxing now. In boxing, trainer Carl Loko wants measures in place to encourage people to unearth young talent in the sport. He spoke to Muftau Nabil Abdullah and he comes through with his report.
Most boxers often leave their trainers who nurtured them from the amateur level when they move on to a professional stage. These coaches who have spent their resources and time building these boxers benefit nothing when these boxers choose to move on. One of such coaches is Carl Loko, who groomed former IBF light title winner Rikit Kome and the likes of Duke Micah. He says there should be a system in place where these boxers, when they are moving on, boxing trainers benefit so that they can be encouraged to unearth more talents.
But same way, after 5 years, after 6 years, after 4 years, the contract finished. You renew. Optional, right? Yes. So if he's not renewing, can you force him? No. You understand me? But when it comes to football, again, like I said, we have different categories of taking whatever you have put in as a team. Even recently that Thomas Partey went to Arsenal, Palmer was laughing, right? Yes. So you don't care how many years it will take the footballer to get to wherever. You have your development fee.
Mr. Loko also called for honesty and transparency between coaches and their boxers.
Boxing is not like football, whereby a player is just coming to play for a team. The team will sell the player, and the team will get the dividend or the benefit straight, and the player cannot just move from a team A to team B just like that. And look at boxing. Boxing is so different that boxers just leave or can leave their gym to join another gym, and it becomes a problem because the trainer will not feel happy of training the boy for several years, and all of a sudden the boxer will leave and go to different level or different place. So that's a difficult thing. So it will be great and better for boxers, especially, to be honest to their trainers, and their trainers also to be transparent to the boxers. And with that, we grow.
He believed with such, the two parties would have a fruitful working relationship. Carl Loko nurtured Rikit Kome since the age of 13 until the two parted company in 2017.
That's it for sports, and that's it for viewers on Joy Prime. The news continues here on the Joy News channel.
Welcome back. Time for Showbiz. The Showbiz Queen is here.
Hello to you. I miss you, Hajia.
I miss you so much.
The real Hajia in the industry.
You know, baby.
The real Hajia who can.
That kind of thing.
You know.
Who gels with the co-awardee of Newsfile and things.
I miss Bralai though, but you're the real deal, man. Aisha, let's.
Bralai, shout outs to you.
Yes, baby. We miss you out here. I'll sing a song for you.
What's up?
Yeah, the tourism. Let's talk about the tourism, ministry, the tourism sector here in Ghana. So there's this entrepreneur based in Japan who is doing very good for himself and trying to promote Ghana to the rest of the world with what he does with his father. He's called Kobe, and he is saying that what they're doing back in Japan will go a long way to help them build a music school. They're looking at building a music school here in Ghana and an amusement park. And we had a conversation with him earlier via Zoom, and he's been sharing his, lifestyle, basically what Tokyo looks like. Like, I want to see Tokyo in his eyes, and the plans that he has for Ghana.
You hold me. Am I not I think yeah, I mean, an African guy coming all the way from a third world country to be able to establish a business like this, I think that's a big motivation and that's a big impact to other people. So I believe I'm an impact to myself, you know, because when I first came here, I didn't know I was going to get to where I am right now. So working hard and getting there, I believe it's that alone is a very big impact to, you know, to a lot of people. And I try to, especially when I meet my young folks from Ghana as well, I try to give them good advice. I try to talk to them. I try to be in their shoes. We have conversations on how to advise each other. You know what I'm saying? And I believe I'm a mentor for a lot of these folks out here. So yeah. I might say I'm proud of myself and I'm proud of my dad as well.
Great. Obviously, we're here and we're proud of you and all the things that you're doing back there in Tokyo. Before I let you go, what do you hope for the tourism industry? How are you going to, you know, extend it to your home country as well?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. So about a year ago, me and my dad were in Ghana with some Japanese friends. We were trying to do a lot of stuff in Ghana, amusement park, music school, and all that stuff. We met a lot of people, but what happened is the corona just happened, and then we had to take a break from it. So, you know, at the moment you're under lockdown, you cannot even travel to Ghana. At the moment as I'm talking to you, you're under lockdown right now.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So basically the corona really kind of slowed a lot of things right now. But yeah, we have a lot of things we want to do back home. We have a lot of dreams. We have so much things we want to do.
Yeah. This is Tokyo in Ghana.
I'm telling you.
And I can't wait for that. Looking at the food.
When I eventually
the food looks sumptuous.
When I eventually
have you taken Korean seafood before?
No.
It's so nice.
You should buy me some.
Yes, I'll take you
Tomorrow?
somewhere. Tomorrow is Friday.
Yes.
I'll take you there.
So, something else is happening tomorrow is the Joy FM 90s Jam. I mean, this is what you should expect. She came in and she caught me red-handed,
sleeping with a girl next door.
How could I
forget that extra key?
All this time. Wait for the rap.
You were something that she never took her eyes off me. What's it mean?
So you'll be seeing more of this. No, not see. It's actually a virtual program.
Thank you so much for bringing us Shabbat. And it's all about the 90s Jam.
Yes.
Don't go nowhere. Stay in your home. Just tune in to Joy 99.7 or Joy Prime on all the social media platforms and have fun tomorrow. And that'll be it for Showbiz. Now to the rest of our story. Some youth calling themselves Coalition of La Associates Thursday trooped to the parcel of land near Bema camp to resist what they say are attempts by the Ghana Armed Forces to sell it off. They say the parcel of land at Airport Hills, though initially designated as government lands, has been returned to the people of La, who are the original owners. Thursday's march to the parcel of land, according to the coalition, was inspired by the sight of some military personnel clearing it for use. The La youth, however, stormed the said land with the intention to process it. Judith Awochetando has more in the following report.
The paramount chief priest of La, Nino Yemo Obloni, the 7th, led the youth to the parcel of land estimated to be about 250 acres. The secretary and spokesman, Jeffrey Tete, explained that the land they were seeking to possess used to be part of 5,000 acres initially acquired by government in the late 1930s for aviation purposes. He says they had to move onto the land because a lot of it is being hived off to private investors.
The government acquired a little over 5,000 acres of land they were supposed to use for that purpose. And that land stretches all the way from the airport, the Air Force, into Balishi area. Moving forward, we have realized that the people of La also need part of the land to develop because there's nothing here so far called the aerodrome acquisition. And when you go deep into the land acquisitions here, you realize that they have been given into private developers who are developing the land. So all the way from the Palace Mall going, private developers have taken the place. There's nothing like aerodrome acquisition. Now, about 6 years ago, the people of La got up and we started agitating that government should give us the lands. We have written petitions, we have issued press releases, we've held press conferences, we've done demonstrations. None have yielded any fruit. Until quite recently, when we sent a petition to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, we were able to have negotiations with them. I mean, representatives from the youth and then the traditional council met with them. We had negotiations. Finally, on 27th of November 2020, government decided that they have released these parcels of lands we are agitating for.
Mr. Teta further alleged military personnel were also recently seen encroaching on the land.
Not long after, we realized that the military had come onto the land with bulldozers and then they were working. So we wrote to the minister and said that, look, if that is what the military wants to do, we want to take possession of the land pending the signing of the documents. Well, the minister didn't say anything and we felt that silence meant consent. So we saw the consent of our traditional authorities who gave us the green light to go ahead. We shadowed everything, and that is why today we have mobilized the people of La. We have come onto the land. We have possessed the land as at now. And I tell you, the military cannot come here and say anything.
The Ghana Armed Forces has so far been unavailable for comment. Judith Awatretando for Joynews.
Let's do some education because the Executive Secretary of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, Kofi Annan, has dispelled rumors that the BECE has been scrapped as part of the ongoing high school curriculum reforms. Mr. Annan has also described as untrue speculations that diversity as captured in the key features of the new Common Core program is a subtle way of introducing the controversial comprehensive sexuality education program into schools, arguing the terminology is to accommodate divergent views. He has been speaking with my colleague Latif Idris.
The document that was flying was suggesting that BEC is going to be scrapped. As of now, those who are in GHS2, GHS3, they are running the old curriculum. So they will write BEC. Those who are going to GHS1 now, the discussion is still ongoing. So as a nation, we all have to study, we all have to discuss, everybody's opinion has to be shared as to what we should do to these children to ensure that they transit to SHS without barriers. All of us have diversity of ideas. Even when it comes to religion, do I say that someone is a Muslim, so he is an enemy? No. You see, so those are the issues, but not about lesbianism and other things and so forth. We are not there. So our culture frowns. Our culture frowns on that. And one thing we must all bear in mind is that when we say the curriculum of a nation, the content is the culture of the people. So what is our culture? Do our culture say that man should marry man, woman should marry woman? Even there have been another debate. Those who came to us and told us that we must have only one wife, though the women are more. Now they have come to us, they say a man should marry man. So they themselves, are they right in that sense?
Talk about curriculum, we also look at the syllabus. We understand the teachers who are supposed to take the GHS students through this new syllabus have not had the training that they need to have before the academic work begins in the various schools.
Something that we took more than a year to develop, and you take 5 days to train the teacher, he cannot acquire everything. And then also after the training, he's not also applying it. It's like we are learning computing skills, and we have put the computer somewhere, and we have gone to stroller for some few weeks and months. When you come and you put it, some of the skills are lost. So in order not to make them lose this skills, let us wait so that they do the intervention. Then by the 9th week that they are supposed to start, by that time when we go for semester break, we will be able to close the gap there, get an intervention, and train them and equip them with the basic skills that they would need to roll out the CCP curriculum. This year, We are going to start with primary 4. We are going to run the insert for primary 4, and probably it will happen late in November or early December 2021.
So
and
this year is dedicated to
yes, primary 4. Because we are looking at the situation. You know, last year, the children couldn't have the opportunity to have a full academic year. So if you are going to assess KG1, KG, even our examination insert starts from primary 2. So the primary 2 people now are those who did not even complete primary 1. So if they are in primary 2, what assessment models are you going to use? Will you really get some response that will be a true reflection of the academic achievement or progress of that child? So we feel if you go to primary 4, that will set the basis.
The impact of the strike by the Teachers and Education Workers Union TEU became more pronounced on Thursday, the second day of the action, as students were compelled to take over some duties of hall assistants. The students could be seen stationed at the Porter's Lodge and some of the halls in the University of Ghana, whilst their colleague students carried on with their residential registration. My colleague Kwekwa Sante was on campus and has filed this report.
And that is why we think that we have come to a point where we can no longer bear the frustration. We have to go and sit our somewhere and think of ourselves.
Some junior common room executives in the University of Ghana today took over the duties of hall assistants, popularly referred to as porters, in the various halls of residence, following an indefinite nationwide strike by the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TEU. Today marks the second day of the industrial action embarked upon by members of TEU in demand of better conditions of service. Although the union has since met with representatives of government, the strike has still not been called off. Hall assistants in Ekwafo Hall, Commonwealth Hall, Mensa Saba Hall, Dr. Hilal Iman Hall, and other halls of residence who formerly helped freshers and final year students reporting to campus to go through their manual registration were nowhere to be seen this morning. This has left some newly admitted and level 400 students of the university stranded this morning at the various halls of residence as a result of the slow pace of work. The Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TEU, declared an indefinite nationwide strike on Wednesday, January 13, 2021, to demand better conditions of service. According to the union, they have since June 2019 been in discussion with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission for a review of their working conditions, which expired in 2008. All efforts have, however, proved futile. A task force was sent to the University of Ghana campus to make sure that all TEU members who were working stop working or face punishment from the Mother Association.
The industrial action by the Teachers and Education Workers Union is yet to impact on activities at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Students and university staff continue to access essential services 2 days into the strike. Prince Apia gauged the situation in the school and now reports.
The strike here on KNUST campus is gathering momentum and yet to have full impact on activities here on campus. Workers in areas like the security, those in the hospitals, and those in charge of laundry services, all forming part of the essential workers, have been asked not to be part of this exercise. Members of the striking group include transport workers, security, maintenance workers, laboratory technicians, some nurses. Charles Arthur is the local president of TEU on KNUST campus.
So when we have withdrawn our services totally, security is going, transport, no car will be moving, no essential services. At the essential service, we have electricity, water, we have electricals, we have plumbing, we have carpenters, and if we said all these people should not go to work and then they should sit down, then what will happen? No lecture room is going to be open, because by law, when you are on lawful strike, the employer cannot employ a temporary staff to take over your work. It cannot be. The employer can only do that to ensure essential minimum maintenance to protect raw materials. In the case of universities, this provision will not be applicable. This is found in section 170 of the Labour Act 203, Act 651. It's not applicable, and even the law says that this thing must be agreed and put it in your conditions of service, which we do not have it in our condition of service. So as we stand, we can withdraw all our members, and the employer cannot by law decide to employ someone to come and do our work. When the employer has done that, it's unfair labor practice that we can go against that. We can take any action against that.
Students are going about their duties as though nothing is happening. Registrations at various halls and faculties are continuing. Meanwhile, student leadership are also helping with the situation. Leadership of the TEU here on campus are saying they would ask these essential workers to be part of the action in full scale on Monday if government do not pay heed to their grievances.
Saying that at our level, if something is worrying us, we cannot, and somebody will have to come and tell us that, go and do this so that the government will become unpopular. Is it not true that the government has given non-basic allowance to the senior members? Is it not true that our risk allowance has been consolidated and it has been given to Kwabenya people and then the what they call it, GBC? Is it also not true that our promotion, we cannot see our way clear with our management of the university? If all these are true, you understand, then what is political motivation? There is no more political motivation in this, and we are saying that all Ghanaians must join hands with TEU to fight for this, so that at the end of the day it will not affect the running of the university. So from the KNUST campus, my name is Prince Apia reporting.
Away from university campuses, the West Mamprasi Municipal Security Council has called on the Interior Ministry to intervene in the ongoing fight against armed robbery in the area. The council at a meeting Wednesday unanimously appealed to the Interior Ministry to, as a matter of urgency, provide the police service with personnel and vehicles and other resources to help them effectively and efficiently confront the activities and operations of the robbers. Chairman of the council, Arimeyao Somolaki, noted improvements in the general security situation in the municipality compared to previous years, but said armed robbery continues to be the #1 security challenge. The meeting comes amidst an ongoing manhunt for 6 suspected robbers who had allegedly carried out a coordinated robbery operation on the 2 major highways in the municipality. Liaso Tanko has more.
The West Mamprasi municipality has been a hotspot for robbery attacks for many years, with 2 cases already recorded this year. 6 armed men hijacked the Wale-Wale-Nalirge Highway and the Bolika Highway respectively on the same day of January 1st and robbed tons of cash from travelers and motorists. A combined team of police, military and personnel of the counter-terrorism unit launched a manhunt for the suspects. At the Municipal Security Council meeting, the Wale-Wale District Police Commander Chief Superintendent Samuel Yebua provides updates on the operation.
Information that some are living in a certain village. I forgot the village name. But when we moved on to that village, we met a certain canoe operator who crossed those 2 before. And he got to know later that they were robbers. He crossed them after the act. They went to that village, and one canoe operator crossed that 2 robbers over the river, to the river bank. And so later he got to know that no, the people he crossed there had robbed at Ulungu.
Yes, please.
Ulungu, yeah. So we are still hunting for them or looking for them.
The police commander revealed that the police in the district, which is also overseeing the Mamprugu Muaduri district, has only 2 vehicles and less than 70 personnel, which according to him is woefully inadequate to tackle the kind of robbery attacks happening in the area.
We need vehicles and we need personnel so that information as well for us to move out immediately in respect of that. Now, sometimes when we have enough men and with the vehicle on our roads, I think the work will not be too difficult for the men because it will be handing over and taking over. When they work from morning to afternoon, personnel can continue from afternoon to the evening by 10 p.m. and from 10 to the following morning. 8 hours as a labor law, 8 hours working period. If it happens for us to also get sick, then I think the commander and the men can be up and doing and setting the whole system.
The commander, among other things, called for the institution of additional measures in order to fight the menace, including the establishment of a high court in the municipality. He also advised opinion leaders, especially politicians, to stop meddling in robbery investigations and asked residents to trust and collaborate with the police to protect them.
My few advice to municipal people in the Walwali municipal is that they should have trust in police, and they should also volunteer to give us reliable information for police to act on.
The municipal chief executive and chairman of the Security Council conceded that the low level of personnel and inadequate vehicles for patrols could largely be blamed for the police's continued inability to combat robbery operations in the area.
We have made appeal through the Ministry of Interior to the IGP about the low level of personnel in West Memphis. Because as we speak, according to the information I had from my district police command, they have less than 70 personnel. And it is the same personnel that I'm taking care of Mamprogo Maduri district. We have so many stations that are supposed to be there. Some have to work in the banks. So it is very difficult.
Nonetheless, the MC assured residents that government was working strenuously through his office to maintain safe and conducive environment. Ilyas Sutanko reporting for Joynews.
In the northern region capital of Tamale, about 5 communities have been hit by an acute water shortage for the past 4 months. Communities like Lameshegu, Datoyele, Kalprihene, Kakwayili and Taha have had to look elsewhere for water. This, according to the residents, is frustrating, especially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, where one needs more water to survive. We'll take you to Kalprihene, where residents wake up as early as 3 a.m. to go to a community mosque, Utaman bin Affan, where the only borehole is, in search of water. Martina Bugri has more in this report.
Several communities in the Tamale metropolis for the past 4 months have had to struggle for water because their taps have stopped running. Even though government free water policy is on, most people are not benefiting. We are here in one of the communities, Kalpohini, which has a population of over 1,000 people. To be able to get water, you need to be here as early as 7 p.m. each night to queue. Then you arrive in the morning at 5 and begin the process.
Adam Sudo is a primary school pupil. She's been up since 3 a.m. It's past 7 a.m. and she's yet to get her turn.
When we reopen school, it will be very dangerous for us because the time we come here, you come around 3:30 or the time you get it, you bring even 1 jerrycan. Someone can bring more than 10. The person will be there to fetch all of the water before you. The time you come here to finish and go to school, when you go to school, the teacher will be teaching. You'll be feeling asleep. When the teacher teaches anything, you will not understand. So we are pleading to the government to come and help us in the stretch.
Sudo is not the only child who has to go through this struggle. Kalsana and her friend had to keep wake too to be able to get water, but they are yet to also have their turn.
Yesterday in the afternoon, we brought our cans here. This night we did not sleep, so we came early to fetch. We came early to fetch the water, but still we have not yet fed. Some people are still fed.
And as we are here, it affects us with the things that we normally do in the morning a lot. Because sometimes you leave your house choice in the house and you come here to fetch water. And as you come, sometimes you may be having maybe 4 jerrycans to fetch. Someone will come with 15 jerrycans. And the person will expect to fetch all the 15 jerrycans before you now fetch your 4 cans.
With all the dams around drying up and wells people have dug in their homes all gone, this is the only source of water for this community and several adjoining communities in this area. In the wake of Corona, one would have to continuously wash your hand. It is definitely going to be a challenge for communities around this area.
Ajia knows government is paying for water to cushion Ghanaians, but she questions how they can benefit when their pipes are not running.
In fact, water problem in this community is very hectic for us. This community for the past 5 months now, in fact, it has been very hectic for us. We have even learned the government are giving a free water, 3 months free water. But if you don't, your tap is not flowing, how can you enjoy such a facility?
Assemblyman for the area, Salim Abubakar, said he has made several appeals to the Ghana Water Company, but they are yet to respond to their distress call.
This water crisis has been almost like 5 months now. I will be reporting it to Water Company Limited, and always they are giving us stories. Even last week I was at the office. Yesterday I was there again. Every blessed week I'm there to complain about these residents. But always they give me stories that they will open it, but still we don't get water.
It is the hope of children like Adam Suhudo and many other more in this community that the appropriate authority would respond to their plea so that they will be able to go to school early, sit comfortably in their class and learn. For Joynews, Martina Bugri reporting from Kapohene.
And back here in the studio in Accra, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. And still to come in business, the Ghana Statistical Service has begun the processes to add the newly created 6 regions into computation. Details when Charles Aite brings you more in business.
Service has to add the newly created 6 regions into the computation for the monthly inflation rate. According to the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kopna-Ening, the process of collecting data and identifying particular markets for the exercise is very crucial in determining the average change in prices of goods and services within a period. He disclosed that his outfit is considering a review of the model for computing the inflation figures.
Beyond the estimation data collection challenges that we have, we are also confronted with some ground challenges in terms of how the districts have been demarcated within these new regions and between the new regions and the old regions. You would always attest to the fact that a new district has just been created ahead of the elections, and also prior to that there was a particular district between Volta Oti that did pass through some regions. So these are issues that we need to try and deal with on the ground. Moving forward, what we are doing at Ghana Statistical Service is to review our entire procedure for the computation of CPI and rate of inflation. And what I mean by that is we are taking a second look at the 44 markets that we are currently working in. And we're going to do this alongside our 8th Ghana Living Standard Survey, where we would have the opportunity to review the weights that we associate with these regions, and would also be able to do the disaggregation not only at the regional level, but more importantly at the district level and also urban-rural. We should be able to do the urban-rural around this time because it's just close to the census, which gives us an opportunity to very well demarcate the country into rural and urban areas. So there are a lot more work that we're going to do with the CPI moving forward, especially at the time that we're going to do our census and we're going to go into our 8th Ghana Living Standard Survey. We wouldn't have to rely on the 7th GLSS.
Well, the Registrar General's Department has directed that all payments of over 5,000 Ghana cedis should be done through bankers' draft. The move has been influenced by the rising cases of extortions at its premises. The department also adds that it will not hesitate to strike out names of businesses if payments done through middlemen does not hit their accounts. Jemima Oware is Registrar General and she spoke to Joy Business.
Sometimes charlatans take these monies and it doesn't end in government coffers. It rather ends into the pockets of individuals who are not supposed to have those money. And so what is going to happen is if you have any transaction with this department above 5,000 Ghana cedis, we are, from the 18th of January, not going to accept any cash payments. It has to be by banker's draft, so that we are sure that whatever is due government enters government coffers and not the pockets of individuals.
Some people have seen these procedures in these automation payments sometimes as a little bit frustrating for them.
At least with the banker's draft, you are sure that it is not going to go into any other person's pocket apart from government. The name that you put on that banker's draft should be the Registrar General's Department. Now, people have an impression that the processes are cumbersome. But invariably or not, they don't even bother to come into the front office and carry out the process themselves. So I would still advise, even if it is cumbersome, it's better you go through the process. And if you have challenges, you get the help desk informed about that so that we can intervene. Also, for the ease of doing business, it's easier to pay your money either online or through these means. Then you are sure that the money gets the right place.
Well, the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, GREDA, has expressed worry over a stalled process that has delayed the expected land reforms in the country. According to the Executive Secretary of the Association, Samuel Amegayebo, the collaboration between government and industry players on how to mitigate land issues that have bedeviled the country has failed to produce any action plan. He is, however, hopeful that the government in its second term will be committed to bringing finality to all land-related issues.
We think that there were too many issues with land registration. So we suggested to him, for example, that chiefs and families that have big lands that have not registered them because of the cost involved should, for example, have some rapport with the government, and the government should be able to assist them register by offering to register the land for them for free, not free as in free, but free as in paying cash for it, but then the family can give a percentage of the land as payment to government. So that government in turn will sell that land to private developers, and then you would have cured two problems. Help the family to register land to mitigate the numerous litigation we have on land, and at the same time government secures land for affordable housing project, and the private sector can come in and buy and be assured that the land is encumbrance free and it is legitimately owned by whoever has it because of registration. And then we also gave a proposal to the government for a supply of affordable housing. And I was very much happy to hear the president say that, oh, GREDA, you came to me to supply 5,000 affordable housing. That is not adequate, and that he challenged us to rather provide 20,000 affordable housing every year. So we went back, to the drawing board, and then came back with a response to the president's requests. And then I think we discussed about this land guard issues and all. It was very frank, and he was happy to have met with us. So we came back with a response to his request, reviewed our proposal, and submitted. Unfortunately, that response was not immediately responded to as we expected, based on the zeal and enthusiasm that we had that meeting with him. I'm not too sure what it was, but it took a long time. And then late last year, then we finally got a response that the matter has been minuted to the sector minister. And so we were engaged at the ministry and we began discussions. And I'm happy to say that that discussion led to actually signing an MOU. And so we have gotten to that point of signing an MOU. And we hope that his new term, as early as possible, will offer us a grounding on which to build on. And so we are not going to go back to the old processes of going back and forth. But we've gotten to a point where an MOU has been signed, and we can build on that agreement that has been signed.
Let's talk about the land issues or reforms. I mean, what's the current state now?
That particular aspect, that meeting was also involved with the minister, was actually called in to also be part of the meeting, including the chief of staff and the secretary. And I remember the president at that time told the secretary and the minister to ensure that this proposal are passed on to the appropriate government agency. So for the land, for example, we're expecting a discussion between us and maybe the land commission or something, but that didn't happen. But we took our own initiative to try and engage certain, sector ministry, like the Ministry of Lands. We met with them. We met the Attorney General. We met even the Defense Minister, where we brought all some of these issues which has something to do with land guard issue and legal issues and all that. So we did that on our own. But the direct, specific action plan from the government side, we didn't get it. But then because of what we did on our own, we want to believe that with Nana coming back into office, we want to build on whatever we have done in the past. And so I believe there is some pedestal on which we are going to stand to move all those issues much further.
And that was the Executive Secretary of Greta on issues regarding Ghana's land regime. I'm Charles Ayete for Business. Sports is up next.
Many thanks for staying with us here on Joynews Prime Time to bring you the second installment of sports. And Black Stars defender Jonathan Mensah says the success of leading Columbus Crew to win the MLS Championship and having played over 100 matches should make sense to those who criticize his decision to play in the Major League Soccer. Despite lack of playing opportunities in the senior national team since his move, Mensah believes he is still the best defender in the country, citing the number of games he has played as a testimony.
I wouldn't say I regret any decision that I made based on me moving to the MLS. And I don't think I sacrificed anything for the national team. I'm always sacrificing personally, but I don't believe me moving to the MLS. I sacrificed my national team playing time for anything else because I want to be in a place where I'm doing well so that the national team will call me and I'll come help the team. So if that move pissed someone off, they didn't have my interest in being part of the team, that is not my problem to think about or to solve. So I'm always going to be me. I'm always going to keep doing my best. I'm going to always represent Ghana outside Ghana the best possible way that I can. The rest, I leave it to God to handle that. So I don't have any.
Now, boxer Joshua Boachi has been explaining his decision to represent Britain in the 2016 Rio Olympics. According to him, it appeared opportunity to fight for Ghana were beyond his reach, and he spoke to my colleague Nathaniel Atto.
So I think Rio, for me, it was a crazy experience because, again, like I said, I was only on the team for 2 years. At this time, I'd only been boxing at international level for 2 years, which is some time, but in comparison to the other athletes, it was still very little. So they said I qualified in the Europeans in the continent because there's continental championships in which you can go to qualify. I managed to get a gold in the European one, and it was still a bit of a shock. Not for me personally, well, to me too, because I said, look, I'm gonna box guys that have been boxing longer than I have been. So winning the gold there, I said, okay, I've won the gold now, so we have to roll the dice to try and get some kind of achievement at the Olympic Games. How it was gonna come, I didn't know. So going to the Olympic Games, I said, the best thing you can do is win a gold. It's clear cut, right? But the thing is, at amateur boxing, at that level and at the Olympic level, everyone's very good, so no one knocks each other out. There's rarely any knockouts, it's usually via points. So I thought winning the gold would be the best thing, but I won a bronze medal, but I knocked out 3 of the 4 people that I boxed. So that created more hype and more people were more interested because they said, oh, this is the guy that's knocking people out. Whereas the guy that won the gold, it's like, he's talented. God-given talent, you can't touch him, he's very good, I'll take nothing away from him. He won the gold and it's like, well done. But when people were meeting me, they're like, oh, you're the guy that was knocking out everyone. I had phone calls from, I used to watch people on TV, now they're calling my phone from the States, from different countries, and it's like, I just went to the games just to see what I could do, I came back with a bronze medal, and then things changed. So it was a crazy experience, but I think while I was out there, I crossed paths with a few of the Ghanaian boxers and the coaches, and there was a bit of silence, and I just said to them, I could have been here doing this and winning this for you guys. I said, I'm a Ghanaian, I know where I'm from. I could have been doing what I've done over there for you guys, but it didn't work out, and I had to make my move. You have to make a move in life. So no hard feelings, but I was aware that I could have been doing this for Ghana, but the opportunity came in Great Britain, and that's where I'm at, and that's where I stuck to.
Now, still on boxing, Okodampton one's relationship between boxers and coaches strengthened, as that is the only way to produce more talent for the country.
I always use Ike as an example.
As a standard, yeah.
Yes, for them. You know, I tell them it's work ethic. I always tell them how he worked so hard. You know, so here for him, is pick that up. And everybody knows how hard he works. You know, running all the time. But you know, in US it's so tough. You know, because all these fighters have to work. You know, you can't tell a fighter not to work. If it doesn't work, who is going to pay his bills? He has to work, come back, and then come and train. You know, so I was just looking for someone to help him. And that is how I got in touch with Joynews, Jacob, because they understand it. You know, the Ghanaian managers understand it. Then in the US, you have to get to a point that before you see a manager trying to help.
Yeah.
You know, every fighter that I know there works. Just like this kid, he has to work. You know, just imagine going to work early in the morning, come back at 4, then come to the gym. How can he train? But with all this, he's tried to just push through it.
And that's it for sports. There is more at myjoyonline.com/sport. You can also follow us on all the social media handles. Joy Sports GH on Twitter, Joy Sports on Facebook, and Joy Sports GH on Instagram. My name is Hans Mensah Ando. Many thanks for your time.
As we wrap up the bulletin tonight, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com for all the updates. Enjoy the rest of our programs.